2065. Robert House concludes that atomic war is a certainty within 15 years and begins to prepare for the aftermath. February. Vault 76 begins construction. April 14th. Margot enters service. June. A nuclear reactor in New York City almost suffers a supercriticality accident and a meltdown due to extreme energy demand. Power rationing is instituted, with the incident deemed the hot summer. August. Power armor development begins to address mobility issues in American mechanized cavalry units. Research grows until 2067, and several prototypes are developed, many of which prove to be unworkable in the field. These prototypes pave the way for future advances in military, construction, and fusion technology. (2066). The United States Army conducts a test of a next-generation nuclear weapon. May. Vault 87 construction begins. Spring. China's reliance on fossil fuels in the face of a global oil shortage causes an energy crisis that brings it to the brink of collapse. China becomes more aggressive in its trade talks with the United States, but the talks break down due to American unwillingness to export oil to its communist foes. June 24th. The United States ends all trade talks, reserving all oil production for domestic use. Summer. The first crude fusion cell is unveiled as a side effect of the power armor project. Fusion power is quickly adopted nationwide, but incorporation into the infrastructure is slow and never reaches full adoption before the Great War. December. China invades Alaska to seize its oil reserves. The United States declares war in response. The Sino-American War begins. December. Canada is pressured by the United States to permit military access for American military units. Its initial reluctance raises tensions, while subsequent agreement sets the stage for the Canadian annexation in 2076. The USS Eben Atoll is accidentally sunk by the USS Interference during the Anchorage campaign, killing all aboard. It is one of the worst U.S. Navy disasters since World War II. (2067). The first power armor is deployed in Alaska, proving effective against Chinese tanks and troops, thanks to its ability to carry heavy weapons. China rushes to create its own, but lags behind. Nuka-Cola machines are on almost every street in the U.S. September. Safari Adventure at Nuka World opens. A cloning lab is built beneath the surface to permit inexpensive raising of animals for the zoo. 2068. May. Vault 92 construction ends. Summer. Penelope Hornwright starts work at her father's company. November. Vault 112 begins construction. 2069. U.S. exploits Canadian resources extensively, destroying vast stretches of timberland and stretching other resources to the breaking point. Canada is treated as little America, and Canadian protests are ignored. February 11th. Patriot's cookbook is banned by the FBI and all copies slated for destruction. March. Vault 13 ends construction. Due to its late completion, the cry wolf effect is not as pronounced. Summer. Penelope Hornwright interns at Atomic Mining Services. October. Vault 76 construction ends. December. Vault 106 and Vault 108 construction ends. 2070. The first Chrysalis Motors fusion-powered cars are developed. Big and expensive, they sell out within days. Supply is limited, as many Chrysalis plants are soon converted for military production. Penelope Hornwright graduates from Vault Tech University. The United States Space Administration launches the Deep Sleep Project to test extended hibernation in outer space. 2071. West Tech Research Facility is put under military command. Atomic Command is published. December. Vault 87 construction ends. 2072. Atmospheric counter-espionage is authorized by Congress. That sounds scary. Vault 79's construction ends. U.S. gold reserves are transferred to it from Fort Knox. Galactic Zone opens at Nuka World, demonstrating Robco's achievements and Vault Tech's technologies in service of interplanetary exploration. Teddy Fear recalled. Journalit Software and Automatron published. Camp McClintock is founded. June. The United States Army confirms the development of a super weapon to liberate Anchorage, Alaska. June 3rd. U.S. exploitation of Canada causes riots in several Canadian cities. Attempted sabotage of the pipeline provides the justification for annexing Canada. July 11th. Several soldiers are killed at the Ultralux Casino in a botched arrest after stealing $20 million from their post at Vault 79 and deserting. Sergeant Catherine Montgomery is found a day later at the Lucky 38 with the bullion. She escapes the city, branded a Chinese spy. She is killed 4 days later in the Gulf of Mexico after USS Wade opens fire on her speedboat as she tries to escape the U.S. That's a wild story. 2073. September 15th. Pan-Immunity Virion project begins to counter Chinese biological weapons. 2074. United States forces invade mainland China despite claims of fighting a purely defensive war. Extended supply lines cause the offensive to quickly bog down. Cambridge Polymer Labs, LLC is founded. June. Vault 112 ends construction. 2075. Skynet becomes self-aware. Robco Industries publishes the Unified Operating System. Robco Industries begins the process to buy out Repcon Aerospace. Red Menace is published. January 14th. Bad TFL shuts down a nationwide smuggling ring. February 10th through 15th. Dyer Chemical is coerced to produce chemical weapons by the U.S. Army. February 14th. The Anaheim Jets win Super Bowl 112, 95-90. March. Huntersville receives a rural development grant, rejuvenating the township within 3 months. March 21st. PvP is renamed Forced Evolutionary Virus after experimental success with animal cells. Plant cell experiments are postponed indefinitely. May. Vault 112 seals. May 9th. FEV experiments with flatworms produce results. Insect experiments are postponed due to a lack of results. May 27th. The White Spring 2080 initiative begins. June. General Brock assumes command of Fort Strong to accelerate its research projects. June 30th. FEV experiments with white mice yield positive results with increased size, strength, and intelligence. August. USSA selects ArcJet Systems to develop the XMB booster engine and deep-range transmitter for the manned mission to Mars. The program is planned for a July 2078 launch, but is later pushed back to avoid further inflaming the Sino-American War. August 20th. West Tech Research Center built near Huntersville to experiment with PvP/FEV in agriculture. November. U.S. monitoring stations identify signals suggesting the existence of Chinese stealth subs, the Ghost Fleet. November 9th. FEV experiments on rabbits note similar results to mice, but also heightened aggression. December 17th. Pam posits that Chinese stealth technology is advanced enough to support the existence of the Ghost Fleet. The report is dismissed as non-credible. December 20th. West Tech accelerates agricultural research at Huntersville. 2076. Robco S is published by Robco Industries. Repcon Aerospace is bought out by Robco. Pipfall is published. January. Closure of Monongah Mine prompts a sit-in protest by miners. Didn't I trip over this word last time? Monongah Mine prompts a sit-in protest by miners. An explosion collapses the mine, with them trapped inside. They are pronounced dead by the mine supervisor, likely to avoid a costly rescue operation. January. The annexation of Canada is complete. Canadian protesters are shot without trial. Military occupation secures the pipeline, and atrocities committed by the American military fuel domestic unrest. January 3rd. West Tech facilities in California are secured by an Army team under Colonel Spindle and Captain Maxon to protect against espionage. January 12th. FEV experiments on dogs increase their strength, but not intelligence. January 24th. James Oberlin assumes liaisoning duties at Atlas Observatory. January 26th, FEV experiments on raccoons produce the same result. Raccoons attempt escape. 2 pairs succeed. February, M42 Fat Man launcher begins development at Fort Strong. February 16, West Tech starts human FEV research at Huntersville after shutting down agricultural experiments. March 12th, first results of Atlas weather modification tests in Appalachia. April 15th, FEV experiments on dogs end, with all subjects terminated. May 25th, mutations begin at Huntersville. June, T-51 power armor is complete and sent to the Chinese front. Their performance demoralizes the enemy force, leading to surrenders, breakdown of supply lines, and the beginning of the collapse of the Chinese war effort. July, flotation homes and seaweed published. July 4th, Vault 76 completed and unveiled to celebrate the United States tricentennial. August, food and energy riots take place in response to the deteriorating domestic situation. Military units are used to quell unrest. A state of emergency is declared, and soon after, martial law nationwide. August 2nd, John Miller, proprietor of Big John's Salvage, finishes sealing the cracks and clamping the pipes in the shelter he is building on his property. August 20th, Atlas weather experiments demonstrate viability, leading to more funding. August 25th, Evelyn Hornwright is buried. Daniel Hornwright's mental state deteriorates. September 15th, John Miller finishes installing the ventilation in his shelter. September 8th, first super mutants appear at Huntersville. October 4th, FEV experiments on chimpanzees produce the best results to date. Together with Huntersville results, the military invests in continued testing in quarantined towns in North America and the construction of Mariposa Military Base for military experiments with FEV. October 20th, Nuka-Cola Quantum is created. October 28th, John Miller believes that he has fixed his shelter's generator/ventilation issues, and all the shelter's supplies are stocked and ready. November 4th, first deaths at Huntersville. November 26th, the Senate Committee of Nuclear Energy discusses overturning the ban on exploiting the largest uranium deposit in the United States, newly discovered on the East Coast. Sam Blackwell embarrasses his Senate colleagues, Senator Clark revealing his purchase of a large stake in atomic mining services. In December, the 15th edition of Coping with Mr. Virus is published by Vault-Tec. December 10th, Shelby O'Rourke meets with Ray Gary and Scott Conroy at a Truth Seekers meeting as part of her cryptid research. 2077. The United States Army commissions General Atomics International to manufacture the Mr. Gutsy. Robert House puts himself in stasis. Chinese infiltrators attempt sabotage at Hoover Dam. May through August, Camp McClintock is automated as part of a broader push towards full automation in Appalachia. December 2077, Manziloid vs. Roborilla and Invaders from Beyond Our Galaxy were scheduled for release. January 7th, FEV research transferred to the newly constructed Mariposa military base. January 10th. Battle of Anchorage is over, and Chinese forces are removed from Alaska. January 22nd. Power armor is deployed against protesters in the United States for the first time. Veterans of China and Alaska now fight their own countrymen, causing civilian casualties that intensify food riots and cause desertions among American soldiers on the home front. January 28th, 4:32 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. DEFCON lowered to 3 after Anchorage sounds all clear. February. FEV research leaks to the public. Protests erupt worldwide, directed against the United States, and claims begin to circulate that the new plague was engineered by the U.S. in the first place. February 16th. Archimedes 1 tests successfully at Helios 1, but causes overloads and damage to nearby communications array and the Hidden Valley bunkers. Archimedes 2 is not tested due to continued work on the targeting system. February 22nd. The Army takes control of Helios to press orbital laser artillery into its arsenal. March. The President and the Enclave retreat to secured locations and make contingency plans for continuing the war, anticipating a WMD attack from China. March. Vault Dweller's Survival Guide is published. April 2nd. John Caleb Bradberton undergoes the Leap X program procedure. April 15th. Anthony House succumbs to paranoia after 55 years. April 28th. Nuka World's power plant discharges radioactive coolant into the local river. The Class 1 incident is buried, recorded as a mere Class 7, and the whistleblower fired. May 2nd. Grafton Dam is fully automated by this day. Quentin Giese praises the benefits of such automation to the increasingly impoverished, unemployed citizens of Grafton. June 14th. The Berkeley Springs Police Department foils a bombing attempt by the Appalachian assassin. June 19th. Anthony House seals himself in his factory and activates all security systems. June 25th. The Mistress of Mystery Season 8, Episode 16 is recorded, concluding the 8th season. An after-party takes place the following day, coinciding with the installation of Kryptos and the Hall of Trials at Riverside Manor. June 29th. After bankrolling the creation of the Order of Mysteries lair, Frederick Rivers reveals it to Shannon Rivers and introduces her to a throng of experts to help her prepare for the upcoming The Silver Shroud television series. July. Between July 10th and October 23rd, Sierra Army Depot 6 is evacuated. July 4th. Lake Quannapowitt is closed to the public due to radioactive contamination. July 13th. Mass Fusion Containment Shed suffers a workplace fatality with an employee ran over by a reversing forklift. Mass Fusion ignores the event, limiting the reaction to mandating more OSHA posters. July 17th. The Pittsburgh Union Steel Company triples quotas for its workers to meet the demands of the U.S. for the Sino-American War. This is met with condemnation and plans to strike after the previous quota was barely met. August. General Constantine Chase, the hero of the Battle of Anchorage, begins interfering with operations at the VSS facility in Washington, D.C. August 17th. The Atlas program receives full funding after a landmark weather modification experiment causes a major snowstorm in mid-fall. August 27th. Miners protest outside Garahan Estate over working conditions, leading to an altercation with Bill Garahan. September. The M42 Fat Man launcher development at Fort Strong is complete. September. Free States leaders Raleigh Clay and Sam Blackwell declare their secession from the United States. The movement retreats to fortified bunkers in the mires of Appalachia. September 6th. General Chase's obsession with the simulation becomes clear to the VSS technicians due to a slew of radical changes that distort the actual historical record. September 7th. September 19th. The owners of Pittsburgh Union Steel Company, Mr. Maxson, visits the plant and workers to reassure the changes were for the war effort. His presence nearly causes a riot as protectrons need to be used to get him out. September 27th. Bisshee Company funds a secret lab beneath Van Lowe Taxidermy for Calvin Van Lowe to conduct work on a disguised robot for corporate sabotage. The Lewisburg police ignore noise reports. September 28th. New Appalachia Bank at the New Appalachia Central Train Yard is destroyed by an explosion during a botched bank raid. 2 of the 3 robbers are killed, together with multiple employees and bystanders. September 29th. Vault 95 receives multiple shipments of military-grade drugs, raising suspicions among local administrators. They are dismissed out of hand by the regional supervisor on October 2nd. October. Kerwood Mine suffers an explosion, killing 17 miners and trapping 32. October. Nuka-Cola Quantum is released to the public. October. The White Spring cancels the Spring Hill Golf Tournament. October. A Nuka-Cola Corporation sponsors the White Spring as its first business class partner. Nuka-Cola bottle caps are planned to be accepted at the White Spring as currency during the upcoming Quantum promotional event for the first time in history. October 1st. A dialogue occurs between the Pittsburgh Union, Mr. Maxson, and Hal Caldwell as mediator. The exchange ends having reached an agreement to avoid a repeat of the labor wars down south in Beckley and Welch. Mr. Maxson would pull some clever accounting to make it seem that production had tripled. In exchange, the workers would do all they could to squeeze just a bit more out of everyone. October 2nd. A non-depleted ultrasite vein bursts into Welch. AMS moves to seize the town and evict all of its denizens. October 3rd. Automation riots begin due to AMS actions at Welch. Riots spread across Appalachia, responding to years of mistreatment. Facing a territory-wide rebellion, Governor Evans calls in the National Guard, assisted by corporate contractors. Riots escalate to armed confrontations, minor strikes, seizure of corporate property such as the Rockhound, and even direct actions such as attacking Bramwell to topple the mega mansions of the wealthy industrialists who own the mines. One is destroyed, but neither the Garahan nor Hornwright mansions are. Hornwright Industrial shuts down its headquarters and disowns liability for injuries sustained by workers crossing picket lines. Surrounded at Bramwell, Bryce Garahan requests Governor Evans to assist before his deranged brother opens fire into the crowd. October 4th. Hornwright contractors force the rioters to retreat from company properties, except for the Rockhound. Executives begin to plan how to force AMS to compensate the company for damages. October 5th. The rioters responsible for the Mega Mansion bombing are arrested. Bryce Garahan requests permission to open negotiations with the less belligerent of the militant miners. Fighting continued in southern Appalachia, but the military presence at Charleston dissuaded protests there. October 7th. Shipments of liquid nitrogen to Vault 111 are discovered at Boston's Vault Tech branch, fueling further suspicions about the true nature of the vaults. October 10th. The Army contingent at Mariposa discovers the truth about human experiments at Mariposa. They are using military prisoners, rather than volunteers. Captain Roger Maxon assumes command after Colonel Spindle suffers a nervous breakdown and steps in to prevent a bloodbath and orders the scientists to be interrogated. October 12th. The National Guard attacks the militant miners at Mount Blair. Let's fucking go! Blair Mountain mentioned, let's go! Look it up, Google it. Blair Mountain, Battle of Blair Mountain, Google it. To secure the Rockhound for Hornwright. Bill Garahan joins the attack with his minigun, injuring 6 miners with it, and wiping out all progress toward a peaceful settlement between Garahan Mining Company and its workers. October 13th. Maxon executes Robert Anderson, the chief scientist at Mariposa, after interrogating him. October 15th. Colonel Spindle commits suicide, putting Maxon in command of the troops at Mariposa. October 15th. The White Spring completes full automation and terminates all non-management workers. October 15th. Emily Blackwell divorces Sam Blackwell. October 16th. The Atlas weather modification program is shuttered. October 16th. Faneuil Hall's attempted automation goes awry. After a perceived shoplifting crisis earlier in the month, the merchants were convinced to install a robotic security force. The Protectrons wound up killing 7 innocents before being shut down. Wow, it's literally California. October 17th. Baishi operative Bo Peep is murdered by the rogue imposter Sheep Squatch, which broke loose from the secret company lab in Van Low Taxidermy. October 18th. Despite the riots, the Man vs. Machine contest takes place. Due to corporate sabotage, Hornwright auto miners beat Garahan's mining power armor by a thin margin. Already suffering due to the miner riots, the company's stock is set into free fall. October 18th. Scientist interrogations at Mariposa come to an end, as the last scientist is shot by Maxon. October 18th. Dunwich Building staff member Herman Granger is authorized by the Dunwich Borers CEO, Mr. Statham, to release the sales staff early for an exemplary quarter. October 19th. Vault-Tec Boston manager Frank Davidson murders his co-worker and plans to do the same to the apparent whistleblowers. October 20th. Maxon broadcasts his unit's desertion from the army to force the government to answer. The call goes unanswered, and he orders the troops and their families inside the base the following day. October 21st, Vault 94 begins activation. October 22nd, Atlas data is deliberately falsified to force the project to close. October 22nd, the United States forces reach the outskirts of Beijing. October 22nd, the platinum chip is printed at Sunnyvale and sent by courier to reach Robert House the next day. It never leaves Sunnyvale. October 22nd, Scott Turner initiates Operation Free Watoga, inadvertently causing a massacre as robots turn on human citizens. The military tries to respond, but is unsuccessful. October 22nd, Roxbury food riot at the Roxbury Food Bank. October 23rd, LOB Enterprises, a corporation covertly working for China, is raided by federal agents. October 23rd, Levon makes a telephone call to her friend warning him of the nuclear devastation. He follows her coded advice and sends his teamsters home to their families. October 23rd, planned baseball game in Boston with the swatting sultans. October 23rd, the Great